Good afternoon, students. Previous session we learned about how is federalism practiced in India. So about this we already learned two sub-concept also, that is about linguistic states and also language policy what we are following in our country. And today's class we are going to learn about center and state relations. Center and state relations. So we knows that we are adopted federalism. That we knows that federalism means the government at different levels or different tiers of the system. So here we can see two or more than two levels of the governments in this system. So especially the center and state, or even used to call as a central government or government of India or union government also. Union government or government of India or central government and state relationships. See, restructuring the center state relation is one of the more way in which federalism has been strengthened in practice. How the constitutional arrangements for sharing power work in reality depends to a large extent on how the ruling parties and leaders follow these arrangements. See, this is what. So it is one more way in which federalism has been strengthened in practice, especially dear students, how the constitutional arrangements for sharing power work in reality that depends to a large extent on how the ruling parties and leaders so they were following these arrangements. So it's depend upon the ruling parties and how the leaders of the nation they are following these arrangements. For a long time the same party ruled both at the center and as well as the same party rule in the most of the states also. So it is very common in a federal system sometimes. So whatever the political party rule that we can observe in center, so the same political party rule we can observe even in a different states also. So here this means that the state governments did not exercise their rights as autonomous federal units. As and when the ruling party at the state level was different. So actually if there is the same government, for example now present, there in center we can see the existence of NDA government in the present day. And in Karnataka there we can see the BJP government. See the BJP or Bharatiya Janata Party, so it is one of the major party in the NDA. And sometimes, so in a different states, there we can see different parties rule also. See, as and when the ruling party at the state level was different, the parties rule at the center tried to undermine the power of the states. So it is very common in a federal system. Suppose if there is the same government and there is no issue in that much of a level, state government and central government. So they can run a smooth way. There is no that much of issues. But suppose, dear students, if there is a different government, in state government, different government, and in center, it's a different government. So there we can observe that while exercising their power, so especially the center government or central government, so it's tried are getting now. So the central government it's a tried about what? To undermine at the state level. Are you getting, dear students? So whenever there we can see the difference, especially if there is the different government existed or different political party government existed in the state, if there is the different government at center, there we can see the center government try to undermine the power of the states, and as well as the center government not going to concentrate on that respective state if the states have different government. See, in those days, the central government would often misuse the constitution to dismiss the state governments also. So it's very common. So due to different reason, so the central government going to be misused its power by misusing the country's constitution. Sometimes the central government would often misuse the constitution and to dismiss the state government that were controlled by rival parties. See, this undermined the spirit of federalism. Suppose if the central government, of course, in our India, so there were many examples how by misusing the constitution the central governments are undermined the power and as well as even dismiss the elected state government also. ಸೊ ತಮ್ಮ ಸಂವಿಧಾನ ಸೊ ಬೇರೆ ಪಕ್ಷದ ಅಧಿಕಾರ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಕೆಲವೊಂದಷ್ಟು ಸಂದರ್ಭಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ತನ್ನ ಅಧಿಕಾರವನ್ನ ದುರುಪಯೋಗ ಪಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಂವಿಧಾನ ಬಾಹಿರವಾಗಿ ಸಂವಿಧಾನವನ್ನ ದುರುಪಯೋಗ ಪಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸೊ ಚುನಾಯಿತ ಸರ್ಕಾರವನ್ನ ಸೊ ಅದು ಡಿಸ್ಮಿಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಡಿಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗಳನ್ನು ಸಹ ನಾವು ಕಾಣಬಹುದು. See, all this changed significantly after 1990. So ಅಂತ್ಯದ್ದು ಏನಾಯಿತು ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ 1990 ನಲ್ಲಿ. See, this period saw the rise of regional political parties in many states of our country. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ 1990ರ ದಶಕ ಏನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಭಾರತದ ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಇತಿಹಾಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಪಕ್ಷಗಳ ಇತಿಹಾಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಹೊಸ ಮೈಲಿಗಲ್ಲು. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಬಹುತೇಕ ರೀಜನಲ್ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಾದೇಶಿಕ ಪಕ್ಷಗಳ ಉದಯವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಾಣ್ತೀವಿ. ಪ್ರಾದೇಶಿಕ ಪಕ್ಷಗಳ ಉದಯವನ್ನ ಸುಮಾರು 1990ರ ದಶಕದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕಾಣ್ತೀವಿ. See, here this period saw the rise of regional political parties in many states of our country. ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಕಡೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾದೇಶಿಕ ಪಕ್ಷಗಳ ಉದಯವನ್ನು ಕಾಣ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ವಾಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ದ ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಎರಾ ಆಫ್ coalition government. So already we all of you knows that what is the coalition government, especially so after 1990 coalition government. ಸೊ ಕೋಲಿಷನ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಸಮ್ಮಿಶ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಚುನಾವಣಾ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಪಕ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟ ಬಹುಮತ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ, ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾದಂತಹ ಬಹುಮತ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರವನ್ನ ರಚನೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಮತ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಗಳಿಕೆ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದ ನಂಬರ್ ಗೇಮ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಇಂತಹ ಅನಿವಾರ್ಯ ಸಂದರ್ಭಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವೊಂದಷ್ಟು ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಗಳು ಅಥವಾ ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಪಕ್ಷಗಳು ತಮ್ಮ ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತಗಳನ್ನು ಬದಿಗೊತ್ತಿ ಅಥವಾ ಮ್ಯೂಚುವಲ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಸೊ ಒಟ್ಟುಗೂಡಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರವನ್ನ ರಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕಾಣ್ತೀವಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, ಈವನ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ನಾವು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ಸಹ ನಾವು ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಮ್ಮಿಶ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯನ್ನು ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈವನ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಏನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಸಹ ಸಮ್ಮಿಶ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಅಥವಾ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕೋಲಿಷನ್ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಅ ಸಿಂಪಲ್, if the government forms by two or more than two political parties, that used to called as a coalition government. Is it clear? If in case if there is no majority to form a government for any single political party, in this case if the government formed by two or more than two political parties, and that system used to called as a coalition government. See, even the present day we can observe that the existence of coalition government in the different states and as well as the present central government also demonstrates. See, since no single party got a clear majority in the Lok Sabha, ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳು 1999ರಿಂದನೂ ಸಹ ಸೊ ಲೋಕಸಭೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಪಕ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾದಂತಹ ಬಹುಮತ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ. The major national parties had to enter into an alliance with many parties that includes several regional parties also to form a government at the center. So present government NDA, we all of you knows that it is one of the alliance, an alliance. So NDA, National Democratic Alliance. Okay. See, this led to a new culture of power sharing and respect for the autonomy of state governments. So ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಮ್ಮಿಶ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಏನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಮಕ್ಕಳ, ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿ ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಏನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಪವರ್ ಶೇರಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ the autonomy of state government, because there was no way they must give respect because they may the part of the central government. See, this trend, it was supported by a major judgment of the Supreme Court that made it difficult for the central government to dismiss the state government in an arbitrary manner. So the central government cannot dismiss any state government because the state government members, they may involved in the central government as a part of the government. So thus federal power sharing is more effective today than it was in the early years after the constitution came into force. It is very clear, dear students. So it's a more effective system of the government. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ವಿವಿಧ ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಪಕ್ಷಗಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಅಥವಾ ಸರ್ಕಾರವನ್ನ ಭಾಗಿಯಾಗ್ತಾ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅಧಿಕಾರವನ್ನು ಹಂಚಿಕೊಂಡು ಕುಳಿತಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಡೀ ಟೀಮ್ ಏನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಇಡೀ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಸೊ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ರಿಯಲಿ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್ ಟಾಸ್ಕ್. Are you getting now? It's a very difficult task to manage all the different political party members in a government. So ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್. Are you getting, dear students? So it is all about the relationship between center and state government. Getting now? Now I would like to remember once again all these whatever we are discussing, the different concepts which makes our country of federalism and as well as how in our country the federalism practice. Getting now. So here it is very clear, dear students. So the things, especially the division of power and the responsibilities and the powers on different subject. So it was very clear by the constitution the power and functions of the central government and the power and functions of the state government and as well as local self government also. So it was clearly mentioned in our constitution as union list, state list and concurrent list, or there we already studied about the residuary list also. So in this way, so these are the responsibilities and functions makes India a federal country. And dear students, after gaining independence after 1947, we adopted a democratic form of the system and especially the federal system of the government. Understood now. So the vast country divided on the basis of language in the beginning, not now, dear students, because recently there were some of the states which were not divided on the base of language. So on the for easy administrative purpose, so the new states were raised recently also. So the first thing that is about the linguistic states. Linguistic states. So especially they were observed the different language speakers and their boundaries, and based on that, so our constitution makers and then our Indian national leaders, so they were actually form of linguistic states. Getting now. And also, dear students, after that, the language policy, what we are followed. So we knows that this is the second test for the Indian Federation, that is about the language policy. See, our constitution did not give the status of national language to any one language. Hindi was identified as the official language, that we all of you knows that. See, but here we should note that Hindi is the mother tongue of only about 40% of Indians. It is the mother tongue of only 40% of the Indians, and therefore there were many safeguards to protect other regional languages also. Besides Hindi, there are 21 other languages are considered or recognized as scheduled language by our constitution. There were besides Hindi, there were 21 other languages recognized by the Indian constitution as scheduled languages. A candidate in an examination conducted for the central government position may opt to take the examination in any of these languages out of 21 languages. And also, dear students, states too have their own official language. So much of the government work takes place in the official language of the concerned state. See here, our national leaders, they were adopted a very cautious attitude in spreading the use of Hindi. According to the constitution, the use of English for official purpose was to stop in 1965 itself. But however, many non-Hindi speaking states, they were demanded that the use of English as official language. Especially in Tamil Nadu, the movement took a violent form also. The central government responded by agreeing to continue the use of English along with Hindi or along with Hindi or any other official language with official purposes. See, many were states they were criticized, and even they were using their own state language also, and as well as so they were criticized the promotion of the Hindi as a national language also. So here the promotion does not mean that the central government especially can impose Hindi on states where people speak a different language. See, this flexibility shown by Indian political leaders helped our country avoid the kind of situation what we have studied in Sri Lanka. So just now we are discussed a lot about the relationship between the central and state governments. So here the different political parties ruling the state and the central government. If the same government is there and there is no any kind of disturbance. If the central government is formed by the different political party and the same political party rule where we cannot see in the different state, during that case the central government used to avoid and misuse the power and even the constitution also, and sometimes used to dismiss the state government also, and always undermine the powers of the state government also. But after 1990 there we can observe a significant changes in this, because this is what the time of rise of regional political parties, and also this was the beginning of the era of coalition government, already we had discussed. So anyhow dear students, if it is there any conflicts, disputes, even central government versus state government or state government versus central government or any level of the government, so the Supreme Court used to solve all those problems. I hope you all have understood this concept, and the next class we are going to learn about decentralization in India. ಸೊ ಭಾರತದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಧಿಕಾರ ವಿಕೇಂದ್ರೀಕರಣವನ್ನ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಲಾಯಿತು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. So next class we are going to learn about decentralization in India. Thank you. Have a nice day.